Getting configuration settings into your application can be a fun process, especially if you're running on the cloud and you have a bunch of different environments you want to set up. Let's mash on that. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Asp.Net Monsters. In today's episode, we are going to take a look at a service inside of Azure that I had kind of forgotten existed, called App Configuration. So we've done a bunch of episodes, ostensibly towards the beginning, talking about how to do configuration inside your application. We even gave away some stickers or something to people who were cool enough to send in their own configuration sources. And Microsoft are obviously going whole hog on this configuration thing because it is super important to be able to get the right settings into your application across different environments. And so on Azure, there is this service called App Configuration. Now, we've always had a bunch of other services for getting configuration to your application. If you're running on app services, there's a configuration setting that overrides your app settings. If you want to keep secrets, there's Azure Key Vault, keeping your secrets in. But it's difficult to kind of set up like big sets of environments. So if you have like a production and a development environment, those secrets have always kind of been kept separate. Like I always end up with a key vault for production and a key vault for development. But I think app configuration kind of solves that problem pretty elegantly. So I have set up this new app configuration here called Monsters. And if we drop into that, we're going to go straight to this configuration explorer. And we just start to see what's different about this service from Key Vault. So in here, what I can do is I can add a key, but I can give that key multiple different values across my different environments. So you can see that I have a value here, and I'm just going to hit show values here. Zoom this in a little bit. So I have one that has no label to it, so this is just like a default, and then I have one here that has a label of dev, and I can add additional values here for higher environments, and I can add as many keys as I want. So the idea here being that we'll be able to just see the settings for one particular environment in here, and you can keep all of your settings in this one place. And if necessary, these are obviously like visible values here because we can see the values, but you can add a key vault tie-in to this. So if you have something that's secret, you can put that in here too. This will handle sucking it from key vault and putting it into your configuration for you. There are some other features in here, and we'll get to those maybe in a future episode, but right now we're just going to focus on the configuration aspects of this service. So you can filter here by different labels, so I can just see the ones that are in dev. So this gives me a really quick way to see like what my values are for the development environment versus other environments. And then we need a way to get this stuff into our application. So I have stood up here a fairly brand new Asp.Net Core web application. So this is just using the standard website template, and it's .NET Core 3.1, but I think it's supported back on the 2.2 branch as well. And we'll do another episode on this one. It's also supported for classic .NET full framework web forms style applications as well. So to get this stuff working there's a couple of steps that you want to follow. So the first thing is we need a way to tell our application which instance to talk to, which instance of the Azure App Config to talk to. So over here, there is a fairly typical model that we see where we have an access key in here, and we can just go and copy the connection string here. Of course, you can go and see the values here if you want to. So I've already copied the connection string here over into my secrets. So this makes sure that I don't accidentally check this in. So it ends up separate from source control, but we still want this setting somewhere in our application. So when you deploy it, this would be like the only configuration variable that you deploy as part of your application. So now we've got this in here. I can jump over to the program and I can tie in, bringing in the app configuration. And there is actually a handy little NuGet package which does that for me. So I'm going to go and add that package right here. So this is the package that ties our configuration over to the Azure version of it. And to add our configuration in, we just need to do this right here. So we're going to add to our configuration Azure App Configuration, and we're going to use this setting here, which is a connection strings app config. So that's actually all you really need to do to get this to work. So what I've done is I've gone over to my index page here, and I've put in a configuration call here. So I've injected the configuration object, the iConfiguration object, and I'm just going to do configuration test app settings message in here. And if everything goes well, when we start this application, we should see the values being pulled from Azure. So we'll just get over these breakpoints. And we've got high monsters displayed here. So if we jump back over to our Configuration Explorer, we can see that that was the value right here. So this is the one that came across with no label to it. We can go in and filter for a specific label as well. So we could get like the development environment ones too, if we wanted to. This one's like the live part of the demo that I didn't try this beforehand. So
the best part of the demo.
Yeah, we'll go and try and do that. Somewhere here I had the trick for it. There we go. Select key filter. Let's go and steal that code. And pull out a key filter.
I was using app config a while ago, back when it was in preview, and this was the one piece that I was missing that I needed to really make it work properly.
Well, we'll see if this works properly here. So I am going to put a label filter in. So this is a label filter for null. So this will pull the ones with no label. And then I also want to pull in my dev ones here. So we'll just pass this a string dev. And we'll see what happens here.
So that should actually pull in all of your defaults and then override any of the defaults, just as if we were loading from secrets and then app config.
That's the idea. Hey, it actually worked. So we got the incorrectly spelled Hello Monsters version of that.
Are monsters with multiple S's extra scary?
Yes, because that extra S is actually a snake. There we go. So I've updated that. Now I haven't tried this either. So I updated the setting there, and let's see. I don't think it's going to repull it. I think it probably caches.
No, because it'll be at application load that it pulls those in. So if you restart the app.
There is a setting when you configure that to tell it how often to check for.
Oh, really?
New settings. Yeah, there is a way to do the live update with it.
Cool.
I don't remember how.
Configure
Probably
refresh,
through the
maybe?
options. Yeah, that might be it.
So this needs an action. Callback user configure Azure configuration release options. Okay.
So another set of options there.
Config dot.
You already have a config. You'll have to give that a different name.
All right. Good variable names are us. All right. Set cache expiration, maybe.
There we go.
And what does this take? A time span. Time span that from seconds 1. So
not a good recommended production value to use.
Yeah. So there is a cost incurred every time you go out to the store. But fortunately, I am prepared to incur that cost for you, dear viewers, especially because I get 10,000 of them for free. Okay, so there it is. Let's go and change it. Add those snakes back in. All right, so in theory, when I come back, it should be there, right? No, okay, we might have that wrong. We'll have to follow that up in another video.
So going back to the startup class there, just in case anybody is new to the configuration thing and they're wondering how to do this, because I actually just I'm working on a project where they rolled their own configuration stuff again, and this is in, like current stuff here. So what's happening here is like the reason why it's actually pulling from secrets on Simon's setup is because the default configuration build is already part of the application. So there used to be this long section inside of startup that would tell you where you would tell the framework where to go looking for all of your things. But because it was so boilerplate and everybody was using secrets, everybody was using app config, they just have the defaults now. So it's looking for, environment specific application configuration files. It's looking for secrets config files. So if you want to look at some of the internals of how that works, you can probably go back to one of our earlier episodes and we've covered those kinds of things, those basics already. But that's why this is working just by using that secrets.json that Simon has already. It's already preloaded. The default configuration of the framework allows for that to load on its own.
Awesome. I'm just going to give one last chance. No.
Yeah, I think there's a different method of actually registering it that you have to use to support this.
All right. Well,
right. Instead of the one time, there's like a live or a refreshable version of config. Yeah.
Something we can cover in another episode.
Sounds good.
I was reading the docs on this a while ago, and one of the things they recommend is to have a fallback of all your settings in like as a local app config file still, app settings.json, in case you can't access the service for some reason. I was a bit torn on that because in one way, it's good to have the settings, like the fallback there in case you can't reach it, but also those things you're falling back to might not be the right values.
Yeah,
maybe.
So I'm a little bit torn on if that's the best approach. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be better to pick up off of an exception that allows you to fail gracefully rather than having a setting that loaded and you check the setting. I feel like that'd be a better approach there.
Yep, I agree. It does seem strange to like fall back to those things. Like, what's the point of having this configuration tool if it is so unreliable that you don't get it? I think that just kind of like misselling that. Because the uptime requirements on this is like you pretty much only need it when your app starts, or I guess if the cache ever invalidates, and then you're not going to need it otherwise. So it would be an unusual set of circumstances that this thing would fail. Plus, the reliability on the service is supposed to be pretty high.
The only thing that I could see, like, and I mean, we're starting to get into edge case stuff here, but is if you had, we were talking before, Simon, you and I, we were actually writing a book on reactive applications, and we were talking about how your app should just keep working and keep working and keep working no matter how far back it falls. And this might just be a way to provide something. Although I still feel like you could do a good enough job just by, catching an exception, not reaching out to the configuration store, right? So, but yeah, maybe there's a remote case for it, but it would have to be, I think by that point, if you've got that many things failing, you probably have bigger fish to fry anyways.
Yeah, I agree.
It's true. Okay. Well, unless anybody has anything else?
I think that's it. We should probably remind the people to comment and like and share and hit the subscribe button because that's what the cool kids do.
Yeah, I took the words out of my mouth. See everybody next time.
Cheers.
Bye.